Welcome, John Bowen.
Michael, great to come back and be able to share some new insights from CEG and really help your listeners and viewers be even more successful in serving their clients.
Amen. I appreciate you joining us. This is now our kind of third in the series, as it were, around some of the research that you guys are doing at CEG Research, because of course I love all things research and numbers and data, and then pouring in to figure out what we get to do with it. And so we've done some prior episodes around serving high net worth clients and serving entrepreneurs and business owners in particular. And so I'm excited to say, I feel like we're shifting tracks a little bit from sort of outward who we're serving to inward how we're serving them, and talking about teams and teaming up, which I feel like has become almost an industry mantra. Is like the answer to anything and everything growth, if you're not sure where to go, is teams. Like, it's teams everywhere, teams. But in practice, not all teams are made equally. Not all teams run equally well. Some, frankly, do a lot better than others. And so I know you guys have been doing some work recently around specifically teams and how they run well in advisory firms. I think what you guys called the dream team effect of what happens when you get teams that are operating really well together. So I'm looking forward to just diving in today and getting to nerd out a bit on teams and best practices around teams.
Well, it's so important, Michael. I mean, both you and I like being nerds on occasion. We can kind of go both
Yep.
ways on these things, but data we like. And, I'm big, as you are, on let's do empirical research to understand what's out there. But at the same time, let's look at real world experience. We call it, applied experience. What you get
Yeah.
to work with thousands of advisors. We do too at CEG. And what's really working. And one of the things that's been loud and clear to advisors, I'm not going to go do the corporate side with the teaming, we'll come back to that, is that as we start, I got into the industry, I was an advisor. I wanted to do a really good job for clients. I wanted to serve them. I wanted to make a difference. We call it today, I want to help them build an amazing life of significance, take care of the people they love, causes they care about, make a difference in the world. Nobody taught me leadership. I was a naval officer. I was in the pilot program, but they didn't teach you that much leadership there either. And so the idea is I was pretty dysfunctional in the beginning, but I didn't have a choice. I had to bring people together because I couldn't do it all on my own. And I've looked to see who coined this phrase, accidental CEO. I want to give attribution, but I couldn't find it. But I think almost all of us as financial advisors became accidental CEOs. Nobody woke up with the idea that, I want to have a whole bunch of people working with me.
Yeah.
I want to deliver great financial experience. Now, some of the corporate side have thought, well, these are more likely to stay at our firms if we have teams and so
Yep.
on. And oftentimes more in the wirehouse side that they gave the incentives on compensation. If you teamed up,
Yep.
you made more money, which they were only teams in namesake. They were silos.
Right.
So, there's an opportunity when you do it right, it changes everybody's life. When you do it wrong, it's the worst thing in the world. You hate your life. And, you and I are big on let's do things right, be successful on purpose.
So I know we're going to dive more in a few minutes into literally different types of team structures and how they're operating. But I feel compelled, because we both love our research and numbers and data. Uh, where does, from your research end, where does teaming show up in terms of what are the benefits? Why are we actually doing this and going through teams? I mean, I feel like the industry sort of generically says you should team, but why? Why? I mean, it's so obvious the answer is there without saying it for a lot of us. That's the implication. But what do you actually see in the data around benefits of teaming?
Yeah. So when we do the research on what clients want, they want advice beyond simply investing. They actually don't believe any one person can deliver everything. And, when we look at it from asking teams, and this is, a study of 899, very successful financial advisors, and we asked them about client retention and service, through a team base. what had the big, what do they give credit to the team for? And, nearly, 50%, 49.8 said, hey, from client service, this is a big deal. And, I was an advisor, Michael, were you ever an advisor? I don't know that.
Yes,
Yeah, you were an
I
advisor
spent
too.
a lot of time on that end.
Yeah, the power of sitting across
Yeah.
the desk, and then having a great teammate do it. Just, clients love that.
Yeah, and I found over the years, you sort of two big things that crop up just very practically of advisors seem like feel better about teaming from the client service end. They're sort of the proverbial someone else can answer the phone, right? Just
Mhm.
so there's a continuity of service to clients that even if I'm on vacation or I'm just literally in with another client, like someone can answer the phone, someone can give service to the client. It's not all on my shoulders. And the truth is, it's like I literally get busy. I can't serve all the people all the time. When my team is bigger, my clients get more faster, better responses. The second that I find that in vein, so many of us like we come to this because we want to help clients make sure we do nothing wrong, and then we get really stuck in our heads sometimes. I say this as being guilty of it myself. Like, well, I got to analyze every possible thing because I don't want to make a mistake and get something wrong and miss something for the client. And there is just a sheer power of having someone else on the team to talk through clients, to bounce ideas off of, to be able to say like, I think I got everything. Like, why don't you also take a look at their stuff and make sure I got everything? And like together we'll make sure that we get everything. And I think it gets back to your comment that look, most clients at the end of the day don't really believe we know everything about everyone. So often clients have some comfort in seeing that we've got a team. I think for a lot of us deep down, like we're quite clear we don't literally know everything about everyone. And so another team member that's another set of eyes on a client situation just feels like more likely we'll give them better advice. Not that I was giving bad advice before, but like more heads in the room probably means more and better advice, which shows up in client retention.
Well, and the other, I would give a third thing too. You have unique abilities. I have unique abilities. We, we're pretty good. We're entrepreneurs. We're good at a
Yep.
lot of things, but we employ people who
Yes.
are better than us at a lot
Yes.
of things. And, I
Yes.
think for me, the detail of project management is not something I'm good at. And, this is why we put teams together. And, we go back to the research. What was kind of, I think, when we talked about client service and retention, there was almost nothing negative at all.
Yeah.
This is and that was among people that had bad teams too, from a
Yeah.
client
Like
service
it might be
experience.
hard to manage them and stressful on me, but I can still acknowledge clients are getting better service.
And that's one of the eh, you have a team so you can scale up. Whether you want to be a lifestyle boutique or you want to build a national enterprise, you can't do it on your own. I don't care, even with AI, you can't do it on your own.
Well, there's always something that is the least valuable thing for you to be doing on the scale of all the things that you do. That would probably be more cost effective to let someone else do that, so you can spend time doing something else. I feel like the quintessential example going all the way back. I started in the insurance world. Like you hired someone as quickly as possible because you were supposed to hire an admin assistant so that he or she could do all the paperwork, so you could just be out in the field selling more. So we don't quite do it that way anymore. We expand our teams for different reasons, but I feel like there's always been this underlying, at least or particularly as a firm owner or a founder or a leader of the business, one of the reasons you expand the team is so that you can delegate and free up more time so you can go get more clients and grow the business. Like you free your capacity
But
to go
you
grow
should
further.
go to whatever your highest unique ability is
So,
that you enjoy doing. And usually it's not filling out paperwork.
yeah,
For most entrepreneurs, most
yeah.
entrepreneurial financial advisors along the way.
So do you see this in your data, this like growth tailwinds? Does it actually show up that way?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So when we talk about the positive impacts of team, 44%, the teams are critical for attracting high net worth clients. And this is what we were talking about. That they don't believe you can do, everything on your own, and you can't. And as we look at the services we're delivering, we need teammates both internally and externally through strategic partnerships. And the more functional we can be, the more powerful that is. And then, the strong, when we look at the strong impact, 85.7% rate their teams as really, this is critical on business development, because I can still remember some of my largest clients I picked up wanted a tour of our office and for me to explain to them what everyone did. This is back before the old days before video type thing.
So you actually had like an office that people walked
Yeah, a real office with everybody coming to every day.
I do find it fascinating. One of the things that we've seen in some of the research that we do on our end as well, we do a biannual productivity study around advisors and the types of clients they're working with, and there is, to me, this been shockingly consistent and direct correlation. Simply, but the larger the firm, the larger the average client. It's like a straight line up, that the bigger the firm gets, the more affluent the clientele they seem to be able to attract. And I think part of that gets back to exactly what you're showing here. Just the firm gets bigger, the team gets bigger kind of by definition, because if there's more revenue, you need more people to provide the services. But bigger firm, bigger teams, bigger clients.
Yeah, I think I haven't studied that for a correlation you have, and I'm not shocked at all by any means. I do see that there is an opportunity that we all have is, to get unique skills. I mean, this is one of the powers of diversity, not so much from a classic DEI type thing, but meritocracy of getting the best ideas. And I do want to show, I know some are listening, we'll talk about how you can get this. I'm flashing charts. You'll be able to download.
Yeah, well, we'll have a download link at the end if you want to see the chart and not just hear the chart. But for those who are watching on YouTube, you can see the charts.
Yeah, and we also have a study that we haven't even published, Michael, the Dream Team Effect. This is kind of a summary for financial advisors. And I want to, we're talking about a lot of the positives, but I want to also talk about, this is why you want to do it really well. I'm putting up an example of loss of clients due to team members' action. 42% felt they had a significant loss of AUM because of a team member. 39%, loss of revenue, significant. And, then the thing that probably was most surprising to me was the turnover. Almost 10% have a 30% annual turnover, 36.3 have over 20% to 30%. It's just so high. And one of the things, and what made me think of it, is you would have thought, well, the highest producing revenue ones would have the lowest turnover. No. Because they have the money, they're willing to put up with this. And I'm just going, this is so unnecessary. Let's do it right from the beginning.
Well, and we saw a version of that with one of the well-being studies we did a few years ago. We look at advisors and like how they evaluate their own well-being, like self well-being. How are you feeling about this advisory firm you have, this practice or business that you're running? And then we cross-section it against lots of different advisor demographics and data. And one of the most surprising things we found was this like really acute point. The unhappiest advisors had $225 million under management. Yeah. Like this like big cluster that showed up right at 200.
At the ceiling of complexity at that point, hated their lives, but were making it's
correct.
Kind of,
it was like
they were trapped into it.
I've never made more money, and I've never worked more hours, and I've never felt worse. Like I have all these people, and somehow I work more hours than when I didn't have these people. And it was because they all had grown to this point of 6 to 8 person teams, because that's about how many you could afford by the time you're at 200 plus million of assets and 1.5 to 2 million of revenue. And they had these sizable teams, and the teams were not working well, and they were spending a zillion hours managing their team and still their 172 clients. And at that point, you're working 2 jobs, and it doesn't feel good.
Well, and I want to show one other example, and it goes to what you're talking about. And this was a big surprise. is that when we look at time frame for transitioning out of your practice, 10% 1 to 2 years, 33.4 3 to 5 years. That means 43% of the advisors, and these were not all baby boomers by any
Yeah.
means, are thinking of transitioning out over the next 5 years. Okay, a couple things going on. One, presumably you're going to sell your business. You want to have the most value. But the second, what if we made the business fun again?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed coming to work. Maybe you might want to stay and create more value, more impact for clients, all
Yeah.
that, the teammates, and so on.
Yeah, I've long seen a phenomenon where advisors get told, if you want to have your business be more valuable and transferable, you need to build a team that can do all the things that you do so that it's transferable when you leave and retire. And they go and start building the teams to do that. It works. And you're like, well, now I don't want to retire.
I
Like
mean,
now I'm
quite
actually
honestly,
enjoying it
that's
again because I finally got all the stuff off my plate.
yeah. I
So
mean, I love my business. I've got multiple businesses. I've got a great team, and and I look forward every day to coming in. I get to work with really talented individuals like yourself. We get to have these kind of conversations. We're making a big impact. We're working with so many clients. you know, why would I leave? You might take different roles and all that, but this is the beauty of financial advice. You can design this for whatever your needs are. And at the same time, if you want to sell, having a fully functional team, is amazing. And particularly if you also want to acquire, nobody, when you put two dysfunctional teams together,
yeah,
it's
you get a bigger
disaster.
dysfunctional team.
Yeah. Well, I used to have an M&A group that we would one of the biggest engagement series we had was unwinding deals that didn't work
Yeah.
type thing. And, those are painful.
So I feel like we're talking about this spectrum, right? Teams seem to be good, client satisfaction, growth capability, attracting clients. There's even a whole succession angle, which is like a discussion to itself. Maybe we'll do that for a future episode. But then we also acknowledge like not all teams are getting this level of success, right? It's like we've got teams that are blowing out to the upside in a good way, and then really unhappy advisors leading teams. So how do you think about these like stages of advisor teams as they develop?
Yeah, I'll give an example. I had a call uh, late last week from an advisor, and he just left me a voicemail. Hey, John, thank you. I just sold my business for $40 million. And you might remember we met 3 years ago, and I hated my life.
Uh,
And I was thinking of just turning the keys over to my employees, maybe get a little money. And he ended up coming in our coaching program. And the difference is, I ended up contacting him, the next day, and he told me I sold it, but I'm sticking around. He just sold it so he didn't have to deal with the parts that he didn't want. But he had built a dream team. And the difference in his life now, I mean, the guy was giddy. Now I'm hoping a year from now he's giddy still too, because
yeah.
sometimes doing a deal with private equity, it's not always as giddy second time. But at the same time, what an opportunity. Probably his practice was worth a few $1,000,000. That short period of being focused was really amazing. And what he did is he worked up what we call the hierarchy.
Okay.
Actually, I'll put this up here. So this is, think of it as a hierarchy of team performance. And most of us, when we're the accidental CEO, when we start, we don't know anything at all. And it's pretty chaotic.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fear.
I have people, they do things. We all kind of get the things done, maybe sort of.
Well, and it maybe not too. I mean, and
Right.
there's a lot of yelling going on. There's late nights. Nobody's happy. A lot of turnover. You think you write a check, that's enough. In today's world, people want autonomy, all the other things that go on. And then probably what, Michael, people move fairly quickly up type thing to, once they get going, and making money, which our industry is great at, is a lot of high performance individuals. And we're kind of coexisting. We put up with each other, we'll work a bit and so on. then the consultants come in, somebody takes some leadership courses. We start getting toward the high performance team, and that's collaboration. And what we found when we were studying that, for most advisors, if they get to that level, that's what we call the ceiling of good enough. What happens is there's a higher level. There's only 8.1% of advisors in the study that said they hit this level, where each of the team members are committed to each other's success. And we use the term co-elevation to do that, once you're on the team, I'm going to help you be even more successful. And it was at that point, the quality of life, the building that amazing life of significance for clients, teammates, and for the owners, the principals, the advisors, it really took off. And so one of the things that, I wanted to share this research with your audience so that you want to get there as quick as possible type thing.
So then, well, now I feel like about it, I think you said like 8%, 8.1% are in the top tiers. I mean, do you have numbers for all? Like where do we fall? Where do we fall
this
across
was,
these?
again, remember, this is self-determined. So if I ask team members, it might be different too. But when we talked about, from the standpoint, high performing individuals, but not
so that's our
goals.
That's our plurality, right? Almost 43% are, I got some good people on my team.
And
right? I got some good people on my team.
A third were working collaboratively.
Okay.
Only 14% said they're dysfunctional. Again, if I asked other team members, I'm pretty sure that number would jump up a lot type thing.
Oh, so you think some high performing individuals, the owner believes they have high performing individuals, and the high performing individuals say things are kind of messed up around here.
Yeah. I can tell you that from research too, not this project, others. That's not that. When I did due diligence, when we were acquiring firms in another company, we did 120 due diligences. And this is something everybody should know if you're selling your business. One of the simplest due diligence items you do is you get key team members individually asking them about the company. And, they're concerned about their job, the positioning, they may or may not have some equity. The story, oftentimes it's not even close to what the principles are. They're working at a different company. So you really get to see what's going on. One of the things you want to do, and a big part of having a dream team is having a clear vision that we're all marching to, that we know what we want to create together along the way. And that's where, you enroll people in that vision, and they want to co-elevate everyone to have success in getting there. And that's where the power is on this.
So,
and going back to the data, that was the 8.1%, and 2.4 weren't sure where they were.
So part of me is kind of fascinated at the dream team level, but I also look at this data and say, okay, but 50%, more than 50% of us are still really in the bottom. Like, we're dysfunctional, or we're at high performing individuals, some of which may still actually be dysfunctional. We just don't realize that that's what our high performing individuals would say. So how do we start moving up the line if we're still fairly low on this pyramid, right? I think for a lot of us, the most painful points at the bottom. How do we start moving up?
Well, this is something you and I both hate about research, is when you just get a lot of research and, okay, there's a problem. Well, thank you.
Okay. We have definitely identified the problem. We have clear data to validate it.
Okay. So then we want to have a framework. And so much of the time people just shoot out, do this, do that, and so on. And one of the things here at CG we do is we want everything to have a framework. And so, we have applying the DreamWork framework. There's 3 levers, 9 accelerators, some cores. And let me just put it on. I'm going to put it on a slide that I can draw on.
Okay.
The big thing that we want is unequaled performance certainty. That's what gets all of us excited. I want to know every day that things are working and clients, I love almost every day I get at least one thank you note from a coaching client, a corporate client, and I know you do the same thing. I love that. I mean, we're
Yep.
making a difference. Okay, then how do we get there? Well, we got to get momentum in the business so it's moving there. You and I, before we turned on the camera, were joking about overnight successes. It takes
Yep.
a little while to get momentum, but we
Yep.
got to build a strong foundation. We actually got to get the results. So we call this the heart of the team. And then what we identify, there's 3 levers.
Okay.
The very first is you've got to motivate people to move from self-interest, because we all have self-interest, to enlightened self-interest. And what this is, Michael, is what you're doing is you go ahead and if you think of 2 circles, you and I working together, when we explored working together, we both
Yep.
have our self-interest for our firms. We put it together. There's an alignment in the middle.
Yep.
And we want to find that with all our teammates so that they're on a journey. They want to go on this journey together. The second lever is engaged. And we want to move from managed to self-responsibility. Sometimes I'll call it self-managed. I don't want to be a manager.
Yeah.
Okay, being a leader, I want to point the direction, but I want my companies that I own to be self-managed. So many advisors, when they hear that's a possibility, that's what I want too. That's what we all want. When we're accidental CEOs, I want you to embrace being an accidental CEO. You didn't sign up. You want to bring on people that are working with you to do that. And then the last lever is this execute. One of the biggest problems of our industry is you can strategically stumble and be very successful.
Right.
And it's just the profit margins are such, we want to be
If you
seamless. So
if you
those
can
are the
get the
areas.
business in, the revenue is very forgiving of many management sins for
We
a long
can think
time.
we're very successful because how could we not be? The marketplace is rewarding us financially. We
Yep.
may have 30% turnover or more, but we're being rewarded. And it's like, no, you want to build. I'm concerned about profitability, but I'm more concerned about building an amazing life of significance. The last incremental dollar doesn't count that much. Having a great quality of life makes a big difference. And these are the levers for not only the principals, but for all team members. And then, without going into too much detail, we have each of these are what we call the drivers.
Okay.
These are the 9 accelerators that drive this. And let me put it up in a slide here, I think it'll
Okay.
be easier to follow. Are each of the 9 accelerators, Michael? And we can go over them individually, but I want your thoughts on the kind of the big picture. This is, again, okay, if we want to have a dream team, we want to be successful on purpose. This gives a framework on how you can do it. We see it being done repeatedly, time and time again.
So I'll say, like, the core to me certainly very much speaks to me, just having built and scaled through a number of businesses over the years, just that kind of core. You build a foundation, you do some stuff, it gets results, and people are served well. They tell some others, it creates some positive momentum, which lets you reinvest into the business and expand what you're doing and deliver more, which serves more, and just that flywheel starts
Mm-hmm.
turning, right? And as we
Very
joked
much.
before, you do that repeatedly all for a whole bunch of years, and then 10 years of steady repetition, you're an overnight success, right? And you hit that point. So I certainly get that, like that central flywheel. I feel like the struggle for most of us in practice, like as you noted, right? I don't really know anyone out there who doesn't say a self-managed business sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And everybody
I don't
managing
think there is
themselves.
anyone.
Yeah, like everyone managing themselves and having a more enlightened, aligned self-interest and operating seamlessly, like that all sounds awesome. But that's not like magically occurring in my business despite my clear desire for it, right? There's some execution gap, I guess, in the context of your model. Like there's an execution gap in how we get there. So I think what I'm wondering for the time we have left, is like, can you give us some examples into like literally like what are we not doing? Because we're all aligned about what it would look like if it was operating awesome. Only 8% of us apparently are there. So what are we not doing? What behaviors are blocking us from getting there? Like what are some examples of what we got to actually change to get there?
So, so when we look around the model, these are the 9 accelerators, and I've listed them
Okay.
here. And when we get to, I'm going to give you, Michael and I are going to give you a QR code and
Yeah.
a link to download the study. It has everything that we've talked about and more, but it will go step by step, a high level for each of these 9. But let's just touch on a few of them, Michael.
Okay.
When we think of leading, the way we think of it, remember only 8.1% said, they felt that everybody has a shared objective.
Yeah.
So we want to promote a co-elevation culture. So one of the things we want to do is we want to create a vision of where do we want to take the firm over the next 3 years. One of the mistakes so many leaders do is they don't tell people where they're taking them.
Right.
And it's kind of hard to have a buy-in when you don't know where you're going.
Right.
So a big part of leadership is having something compelling. One of the things I love, we have a vivid vision. Cameron Herold, he's a coach of
Yeah.
CEOs, famous. He has a book called Vivid Vision, and he's a good friend. And we do it. I update it regularly. And I got to tell you, not only does it, my whole team keeps me on track to realize the vision, which I love. But yesterday, a very high level person became available. I shared the vivid vision, and I'm pretty sure they're going to join our team. Okay, you have to have that. Having the study, what percentage are hire? I think it's like 80% are going to hire somebody over the next year.
Yeah.
Well, why would they want to work with you? They have choices. What are you building? And to me, we're building a great business where we're going to help advisors build amazing lives of significance, and they're going to do it for their clients. We're going to touch millions of lives by collectively what we do, and we're going to change the world. Okay, that for a lot of people is fairly exciting. If it's not exciting, you shouldn't be here type thing. But you've got to deal with that leadership very first thing.
And I will highlight, like, this is something I feel like I came full circle on over the years of my career. That early on, I these discussions of like vision and mission and core values, I kind of felt was like neat things to put on pieces of paper. Maybe you paint the values on the wall, and then everybody goes on about their day doing whatever it was they were doing in the first place. Like it never connected. And then as I started building businesses and going through that same path of trying to hire and attract great people, it suddenly like really hit home to me of, oh, I really have to paint a picture of where this is going. Like if I want them to get on this bus, I have to show them the bus is going somewhere cool, or they're just not going to choose to get on this bus. And it to me, like, it really drove me to say, oh, I got to get this out of my head onto paper of where we're really going, or they don't see, I know what a good opportunity is. Like they don't see it. They don't get it if I have not painted that picture.
Well, and why would they? I mean, you've been
Yeah.
living this for a
Right.
long time. I've been living it a long time, and we do. And we can make this link available to everybody. It's a vivid vision, and it shows exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Between I did it 2 years ago, so we update usually about every 2 to 3 years. It's by December 31st, 2025. What we're going to do,
Yeah.
how we're going to do it, our core value, our culture, our senior team, the teams that we have in our company, the core business activities. I had written this before I acquired the research firm that we did, Spectrum. And this box here had that we were going to acquire a research firm. And these are 2 new businesses that we're just beginning now type thing, and how we do everything. And we make this all publicly available because this is our commitment, what we're doing. And, if we're not aligned, you shouldn't work with us, whether as a client, whether a strategic partner, or whether as a teammate in one of our companies.
So what else? Maybe one or two others with the time that we've got left.
Well, I'm going to just go in order, I think. And I'm actually, no, I'll jump. Why don't we do promise and cadence
Okay.
to finish this up? Because the promise, one of the things, 90% say that, if they have a team and they're making a good offer, it's really powerful. The problem is so often we tell our team kind of a grind. And let me give you, Michael, this is the way we think of it, as kind of a 4 Ds.
Okay.
Many of the advisors, if I'm sitting, I'll give the example. I'm sitting at a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I'll have some rich entrepreneur. I live in Silicon Valley. We're going out to dinner. And he goes, John, what do you do? And I say what I do. And he says, why would the advisors you're working with be different? And I'd use this example.
Mm.
And I'd say there's too many advisors that just disappoint out there. And I don't want to beat anybody up, but they don't do what they say they're going to do. Bottom line. And, of course, you don't want to work with anyone like that. And the next group is a group that basically deliver what they say. And, this is all great and so on. But the reality is you actually should, at a minimum, deliver what you say.
Right.
And then there's another group that really delights.
Okay.
And they typically have worked with some consultants or coaches, and they're doing some type of value added over and above. They deliver what they said and they do it. I go, you know what, we change the game. Our advisors that we have the privilege to work with defend. They act as advocates for the clients. They're delivering. And then I share, there's 5 things that they deliver. They help make smart decisions about your money. They mitigate taxes. They take care of the errors. They protect the assets from being unjustly taken. And they are, to the extent you're charitable, magnifying it. So when we go back and we think, okay, the promise is 2 parts. One, to the clients, what's the value promise? Because people want to work with somebody that's making a difference. What are you bringing to the community, to your clients? And at the same time, is it compelling for that individual? If you can clearly articulate it, it's really powerful. If you're an advocate, and Michael, I know you're a big advocate. I am too. I mean, this is something we're both passionate about, probably even more than research. But the idea is, helping people make smart decisions. Health is more important, but money's a close second type thing. And the difference you can make in people's life is huge. Well, if you can let your team know that you're bringing tremendous value, that's where it really takes off too.
And then tell us a little bit about cadence with the few moments we have left.
Yeah, the cadence part is one that, for the most part, we don't think about. When I see, such a high number having 20% turnover,
Yep.
the idea is I don't want to leave anything for chance. You're a very creative guy, innovative guy. You got a lot going on. Okay. It's very easy. I do too. I have multiple businesses. We both do. It's easy to drop things. It's easy to have team members not even know what we're doing. So one of the things we want to do is create a cadence where we're sharing insights. So every day I have a daily huddle with effectively my COO, is the managing principal of operations across all our businesses, and my executive assistant. They can be anywhere from 5 minutes to half an hour, anything going on. We have our weekly different team meetings. I participate only in 2 of them. I'm trying to get out of as much as I can, other than the steering part. The and we have our town hall meetings, we have, all these different things that we do. So everybody knows there's a cadence for the information getting out as well as the feedback coming back. And what it does is it makes everyone heard. And quite honestly, I doubt our turnover is over 2% type thing. It's never been above single digit, and we very seldom lose anybody at all during the course of a year. Why? Because they are part of that dream team and they feel really good about it. There are many of the advisors, we have the privilege of coaching doing that too, but you can't just leave this stuff to chance. I remember the first time, Michael, I heard about a daily huddle. I go, there's no way I want to get together daily with anyone. I don't even want to get together daily with myself type.
What I would say, like, boil that down, maybe just because you're living the end stage of this, having grown and scaled it. So if you go back to, right, like our typical advisor, even building out a team, probably has somewhere between 2 and 6 people. That's most of us with a team ecosystem around us. So in that traditional advisor team environment, like, what would a
You would
meeting
have a
look like?
weekly senior team meeting.
Okay.
You would have a daily meeting scheduled with your executive assistant.
Okay.
You may or may not have, depending on who's doing the operational stuff, an operational meeting would be ideally weekly. You would have a monthly all hands on deck meeting, a town hall type
Okay.
meeting. You would have a quarterly strategy session, at least a day, ideally off-site if you're, in a real office with everybody around type thing. And depending on your skill set, that may or may not, you should have an outside facilitator do that one.
Yeah.
And you're going to be measuring that against a vivid vision that you are going. The other thing would be a monthly minimum financial meeting where you have the red, yellow, green for all your key indicators and that you make sure you're on track.
Very cool.
And that's with, really with probably 3 or 4 people, you should schedule that stuff even there at that level.
So as we wrap up, just for folks that, if they want to go deeper, because I mean, there's more to this than we got into. We covered 3 of our 9 accelerators and some of the applications. So where do folks go if they want to dig into this further?
Yeah, so if you are on YouTube, you can just take a screenshot of the QR code and download the Dream Team Effect. It'll take you to a landing page. Let me see if I have it here.
Sure.
Landing page with a short video, some information, and it'll give you the benefits of the report, all that stuff. But just grab that. It'll be a PDF, not the flipping book version, so that you can download it and share it with your team. Also, for those of you who are, I don't know, audio, how you do QR. So I'm going to give you the UR link. It's www.cegwin.com/Kitces, KITCES-teams. And you can download this. And, if you want to learn more, there's, links that you can find out more at CEG. This is a journey that's so important. I was on a ski trip when I got the research, Michael, and I shared 2 numbers. This was the raw data. I said only 8.1, I'm going, guys, what do you think? There's 16, mostly in the 40, 50-ish range skiers, all financial advisors, all successful. And I go, what do you think? 8.1% said that they had really, teams that they were proud of, and 43% were thinking of leaving the industry in the next 5 years. And they all looked at me and they said, yeah, I got a lot of company. I thought they were going to say, they're different. This is something we all struggle. Anybody who tells you they figured out leadership in team is not telling you the truth. But I do want to promise you, and, Michael, you said, like, I'm kind of more at an end state, the reality is I've had multiple businesses along the way. I've sold some for a fair amount of money. I didn't, the earlier businesses, I owe so many apology letters to
Yeah.
former teammates.
Uh-huh.
But when you get this, it's so worthwhile. And you know, when's the best time to start on this? Now.
Awesome. Well, thank you, John. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate the conversation.
Always a pleasure, Michael, and looking forward to our next visit and sharing even more, you know, empirical research, applied experience, so everyone can do even better. Their clients, future clients, are all counting on them, so we don't want to let them down.
Amen. Amen.